I think we're being told the wrong story, which is healthcare is expensive. No, healthcare managed inappropriately is expensive, but when done appropriately, it's not actually that expensive and we can manage it better.
So we talked about kind of the shift. So the other thing, and I want to make sure we cover this in terms of the preventative versus the reactive. So I think you touched upon it in terms of just how you guys are implementing that, but how does that then also translate in the system that you've set up now?
I mean, we need 6 more hours, but first and foremost, when people come to physical therapy, outpatient, 90% of the time, this is what's said. My back started hurting 3 months ago, 6 months ago. It's never that I started hurting last week. So we have to change the way patients think. Who is the person you should call when you have musculoskeletal pain? It's not your doctor. You should be picking up the phone and calling a PT. And that's a whole system change.
2026, the talent market is still unfortunately candidate driven. And that creates issues of compression with your current team and what they're making. And then if you are hiring, what you're bringing in the new person at. Obviously, experience plays a huge role in this, but there's also kind of a general guideline that we can follow. And lucky for you, I've created a free copy of salary averages for PAs by state. So if you're listening and you're curious and want to have that copy, whether you're hiring or wanting to just compare and kind of see where you align, then feel free to reach out to me and I'll send you a free copy. Madison@advancedscopetalent.com.
But the problem at that point is if you take the stream of 0 to 10, not pain scale, but upstream, 10 being the biggest problem, surgical and beyond, 0 being I live a fully healthy life, we need to get to it at 3 out of 10 when people just have the problem. So when you're sleeping and you wake up with a kinked neck, everyone says the same thing. Well, I'm just going to wait and see if it gets better. I'll try a few stretches.
I slept on it wrong. Yeah.
And reality is if they just picked up the phone and called a PT, they probably would only need 1 to 3 sessions and it would be gone. Instead, that kinked neck gets worse and worse. And now I have frozen shoulder or whatever it might be. So here's the reality, Maddie. If you were sitting in front of any population, just go get a group of 500 people together and say to that group, in the last week, raise your hand if you've had pain, discomfort, anything that's just bothered you, nothing major. You don't have to go to the doctor for it. 50+% of the room will raise their hand, regardless of the room. That's called risk. And if we don't manage risk, we're going to only see the healthcare costs go up. So in the last 5 years, I told you PT wages have gone up, but reality is premiums have gone up drastically.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have this healthcare problem. And so what we do is we manage population health. So we go direct to employer because employers are required to provide insurance at a certain, once you have 50 employees or more, you have no choice, depending on the state. And so we go to the employer and say, are you having a problem right now? Is your P&L, your profit loss statement, is the top 5 one of the top 5 items is your healthcare costs? And every single person says yes. And then usually they follow that up with, my premiums just went up 14%. And sadly enough, brokers come to us and say, oh, hey, good news. You're not going up 20%. You're only going up 14%. That's terrible. And premiums go up. What does that mean as a business? I have to do more sales. I have to close more deals. So to make up that cost and everything else on our P&L, we have a strategy for to make money for it and get an ROI on it. And in this scenario, we don't. So we manage that population with a risk management assessment. It's very simple. Hey, population A, do you have pain, discomfort? And if you say yes, you tell us what it is before it's a problem. And then we go direct to you. So right now, if you were to have back pain, you're going to call a doctor. That's going to take you how long to get in? And when you, let's say it's urgent, forever, 42 days in San Diego. If you,
that's the average.
That's the average. If you go to urgent care, that's going to cost you a lot. They're going to do an x-ray, maybe some meds. And then what are they going to do? Send you to a doctor. And then you get to that doctor. And what are you going to do? Another set of x-rays, because that's just necessary apparently. And so what we have is all this waste in the system. We got to stop the waste. And in particular, if you're a self-funded company, so there's fully funded, meaning I use a broker, I get Aetna, I get healthcare, I get whatever, I have insurance, commercial insurance, or I'm self-funded, meaning the company takes the money from your premium and they pay your bills if you go to the doctor. Well, that's claims and costs, and work comp costs go up. So the highest spend in healthcare is MSK by far. If you take all other 6 major conditions, cardiac, blood pressure, high blood pressure, cancers, et cetera, all that spend is less than MSK All that combined is less than MSK. So we go direct to the employer and we save them money day one, 25% or more. And so employers are loving it because they're like, wait, I can put in this self-funded wellness program alongside my existing insurance plan. I don't have to change that. And my employees get 24/7 telehealth. They get preventative care PT. They get free prescriptions. It's outstanding. And employers actually come to me and they're like, this sounds too good to be true. I don't fully know this. And so trust me, from a sales perspective, harder to sell something that is too good to be true. But right now, there's a moment happening where insurances have taken so much money from the employer. They're finally like, we have to do something. And if you're a broker not bringing something to that entity, saying, I can save you money by doing this, now people are saying, I'm going to go find a broker that's going to give me something. And so what's cool about that is we talked about the PT and the fixed hours and the fixed wage and blah, blah, blah. But if we get enough population, now my PT could Tuesday, Thursday be at home and call those patients and say, you were one of those employees, Maddie. I'm like, hey, tell me, why is your neck hurting? Okay. And I'm showing you stuff to do. And I'm sending you an app of how to do those exercises. And if I need to come on site to your office, I will. I'll show up to your office because maybe I have 10 people at your office that all are having problems. And Tuesday and Thursday, I come to the office and I see all those people and I'm checking ergonomics. In fact, we have one today. We're showing up today to a shipping. It's a company that brings in this huge garden house and it's really heavy and they've had a lot of work comp injuries of late. And so we're going to go assess that space, video it, and build a program to prevent those from becoming claims. So we're saving money for the employer. And this is money well spent. In fact, sometimes the employer doesn't have a cost because of our savings, if that makes sense.
Well, and preventing stuff. So like you said, they're not having to actually file those claims. And then when you've got to go through personal injury stuff and it's just all a nightmare. But I also think too, it's from a talent acquisition standpoint, if you're an employer that offers that to your employees, that's a leg up too, because